I went into the ruins for scrap, not romance, not destiny, and definitely not whatever the galaxy would later insist happened next. The place was dead quiet in that way only abandoned alien structures manage, too clean, too still, like it was holding its breath. My scanner kept chirping about unstable floors and residual power, which I ignored the same way I ignore warning labels on ration packs. I was halfway through prying a panel loose when I heard breathing that wasn't mine. That's when I found her. Pinned beneath a collapsed beam, fur-dusted with gray ash, ears twitching despite everything, a Vulpine. Tall, even-seated. Tail trapped, but intact. Eyes sharp and focused on me like I was either salvation or a terrible mistake. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just watched me, alert, calculating, and said, "If you are here to finish me, please be efficient." I told her to relax. That was my first mistake. I knelt, checked the beam, tested the weight with my shoulder. Standard rescue stuff. As I lifted, my wrist comm beeped, and the ruins autolog system woke up like it had been waiting centuries for gossip. A smooth, overly enthusiastic voice echoed through the chamber, translating everything into her language, and apparently into something else entirely. Human has initiated physical contact. Handling appears gentle. Intent, preservation. Her ears flicked. Gentle? She repeated, voice doing something odd on the word. I grunted, adjusted my grip, and shifted the beam another inch. I'm just trying to get you out. Hold still. Pressure applied to critical support point. The autolog purred. Subject responsiveness increasing. Her tail twitched. I absolutely did not look at it. I focused on the beam, the sweat running down my back, the very normal act of applying leverage. When the beam finally lifted enough, I slid my jacket under her shoulder to keep her steady. Fabric against fur. Nothing more. Human is providing warmth, the system announced. Stabilization to close proximity recommended. She stared at me. I stared at the console. That's not what that means, I said to both of them. Your machine speaks very confidently, she replied. I checked her pulse at the neck, 2 fingers, light pressure. Medical. Necessary. The autolog chimed again. Sensitive pressure point engaged. Subject's vital rhythms responding positively. She inhaled sharply. You are very thorough for a scavenger. I'm thorough because I don't like people dying on me, I said. Also because your translator is broken. I freed her tail last, carefully, slow enough not to spook her or worsen the injury. The moment it was loose, she wrapped it around my wrist. Not tight. Not aggressive. Just there. Anchoring. I can't leave yet, she said calmly. You absolutely can, I replied, trying to ease my hand free without yanking. You're stable. I'll signal for pickup. She tightened her grip by a fraction. You have already begun the process. What process? The autolog didn't hesitate. Rescue bond sequence ongoing. Interruption not advised. I sighed. Loudly. That's a mistranslation. She tilted her head. Is it? I ran a scanner over her injuries. Bruising, mild shock, nothing life-threatening. You're going to be fine, I said. You just need rest. Rest is traditionally shared, she said, completely straight-faced. That's not universal. I shot back. I tried to stand. She didn't let go. Please, she said, polite but firm, do not walk away while my systems are still stimulated. I pinched the bridge of my nose. It's called circulation. Your words and the machine's words do not agree, she said. But my body seems to side with the machine. The ruin hummed softly, lights flickering as if enjoying itself. Subject comfort increasing. Continued contact encouraged. I crouched back down. Not because I wanted to. Because if I didn't, she might actually fall over, and I wasn't going to be that guy. I adjusted her position, keeping my hands where they needed to be, nowhere else. I'm staying until help arrives. That's it. Her ears relaxed. You stay very convincingly. I stay responsibly. Is there a difference? I didn't answer. I checked her temperature, then handed her my canteen. She drank, slow and careful, eyes never leaving mine. The autolog chimed again. Nutrient and fluid exchange initiated. Trust indicators rising. She lowered the canteen. You humans are bold creatures. We're tired creatures, I said. There's a difference. Minutes passed. Maybe more. The ruins settled around us, quiet but not empty. Every time I shifted, the system commented. Every time I adjusted her posture, it praised my attentiveness. I stopped correcting it. Some battles aren't worth the breath. When I finally tried to pull my arm free again, she shook her head. Not yet. Why not? Because, she said softly, tail still looped around my wrist. You haven't finished what you started. I looked at her, then at the glowing console, then back at her. I started a rescue. She smiled, small and knowing. Then do not walk away from it. And somehow, despite everything, I didn't. By the time the rescue signal finally punched through the ruins' interference, the autolog had already decided we were in a long-term situation. It pulsed softly, like a satisfied heartbeat, and announced, External assistance requested. Estimated arrival, 47 minutes. Recommendation, maintain close contact to preserve bond integrity. There is no bond, I said out loud, slowly, like the machine might feel shame. The Vulpine, she finally told me her name was Lin, and yes, the log translated that as Designated Partner Identifier. Shifted closer anyway. Not dramatically. Just enough that her shoulder brushed my arm and stayed there. You humans argue with machines a lot, she observed. We don't argue, I said. We correct. Does the machine feel corrected? The machine chimed. Correction attempt logged. Confidence unchanged. I exhaled through my teeth and focused on checking her injuries again. Bruises darkening under fur, swelling along her ribs. I pressed carefully, methodical. She hissed, then caught herself. That spot is reactive. That's a cracked rib, I said. It reacts. System stimulation increasing. The autolog announced brightly. She flicked an ear. Your medical techniques are very intimate. They're basic. Basic intimacy is still intimacy. I opened my mouth, closed it, and decided this was one of those conversations where silence was safer. I adjusted my jacket to better support her back. She relaxed into it with a soft sound she probably didn't mean to make. The machine definitely meant to record it. Subject comfort rising. Warmth exchange optimal. I'm generating heat because I'm stressed, I muttered. You generate heat when stressed? She asked, intrigued. All humans do. Her eyes widened slightly. Remarkable. I handed her another ration bar. She sniffed it, took a careful bite, chewed. This is dense. It's food. It feels like a commitment. That's fiber. She didn't let go of my wrist. If anything, her tail adjusted, resting more comfortably, like it had decided this was its spot now. I tested the tension gently. No give. You know you're holding me, I said. Yes. You can let go. Yes. She did not let go. The autolog pulsed again. Sustained contact achieved. Withdrawal at this stage may cause confusion, regret, or cultural offense. I am already offended, I said. Lin tilted her head. By which part? That it keeps using words like withdrawal. She considered this. In my culture, leaving during recovery is frowned upon. I'm not leaving. I'm right here. You attempted to stand. To stretch. Stretching is often a prelude to departure. That is a dangerous assumption. The ruins groaned faintly as power rerouted somewhere deep below. Lights brightened, then dimmed. The machine seized the moment. Environmental instability detected. Recommendation: remain physically close for reassurance. She leaned in another inch. The structure agrees with me. It's a building, I said. It doesn't have opinions. It has logs. I checked my scanner again, mostly to give my hands something to do that wouldn't be narrated as foreplay. The reading spiked when I leaned closer to read it. Human proximity increasing, the log noted. Response remains positive. Of course it does, I said flatly. Lin's voice dropped, quieter now. You are not uncomfortable. I am extremely uncomfortable. But you stay. I paused. That part was annoyingly accurate. Because leaving would be worse. For me? She asked. For me, I admitted. I don't like unfinished situations. Her ears angled forward. Then perhaps the machine understands you better than you think. I snorted. If it understood me, it would stop narrating. On the contrary, the autolog chimed. Narration enhances shared experience. I shot the console a look. No one asked you? Consent not required, it replied. She laughed then. A short, surprised sound, like it slipped out before she could stop it. Your devices are very confident. They were built by people who never had to listen to them. Time stretched. 47 minutes felt like a personal attack. I repositioned my legs to keep circulation going. She adjusted with me automatically, tail tightening just enough to maintain contact. Careful, I said. You're restricting blood flow. To you or to me? Yes. The autolog hummed approvingly. Mutual awareness increasing. I checked her temperature again, more out of habit than need. You're stable. Then why does your hand linger? I froze. It doesn't. It does, she said gently. Right there. Very steady. Very warm. I moved it an inch. The machine immediately commented. Repositioning noted. Subject response, disappointment. I stared at the display. That's not a measurable response. It measured it anyway, Lin said. She shifted, winced slightly, then settled. Do not stop, she added quickly. The support helps. I'm not stopping, I said, jaw tight. I'm just adjusting. For comfort? Yes. Whose? I didn't answer. I focused on the sound of the ruins, the faint hum of power, the very real responsibility of keeping an injured person stable. Not on the way she leaned into my side like it was the most natural thing in the universe. Not on the fact that the galaxy's worst translator was documenting every second. When the rescue beacon pinged again, updating arrival to 32 minutes, the machine announced it was something dangerously close to excitement. Extended contact window confirmed. Lin squeezed my wrist, just once. You see? You are committed now. I am temporarily occupied. In my language, she said, those are the same phrase. I closed my eyes for half a second, then opened them. I'm not walking away, I said carefully. But not for the reasons you think. She smiled, slow and knowing. Reasons often reveal themselves later. The autolog chimed. Agreement detected. No, I said immediately. Yes, it replied. And somewhere between the broken walls, the humming machine, and the Vulpine who refused to let go, I realized the ruins weren't the only thing recording this moment, and I was already far deeper into it than I'd planned. The first external ping hit the ruins like a dropped plate. Not loud, not violent, just unmistakably official. Lin stiffened before the autolog could even translate it. Incoming recognition signal, the machine announced with far too much enthusiasm. Rescue party notified. Cultural context upload in progress. Don't, I said. Already did, it replied. Lin's ears went straight up. You did not mention that others would witness the conclusion. There is no conclusion, I said. There's a pickup. In my culture, she said carefully, being observed midway through a rescue bond without formal acknowledgement is complicated. I didn't agree to a bond. You applied pressure. You maintained warmth. You remained present. I did first aid. She smiled politely. Your language is very evasive. The machine chimed again. Cultural overlay complete. Recommendation: do not disengage prior to acknowledgement exchange. I rubbed my face. What acknowledgement? The lights brightened slightly as if the ruins leaned in. Verbal confirmation of continued intent, the system explained. Or equivalent behavior. Equivalent how? Staying. S.A. Lin's tail tightened, just a little. You see the problem. I tried logic. I tried explaining. I tried, briefly, bargaining with a machine that had clearly chosen chaos centuries ago. None of it worked. Every word I said got logged, translated, and softened into something that sounded like reassurance. When I said, "I'm not going anywhere until you're safe," the autolog recorded. Human affirms commitment. When I said, "This is purely situational," it logged. Human acknowledges circumstances but maintains presence. When I went quiet, it logged. Comfortable silence achieved. S.A. Lin watched all of this with growing amusement. You are very bad at withdrawing. I'm excellent at it, I said. This situation is rigged. Rigged by whom? Your building. She laughed softly. You humans always blame the environment. Another ping. Closer this time. The rescue team was definitely in range now. S.A. Lin shifted, wincing as she did, then settled more firmly against me, like she'd made a decision. You are concerned about perception, she said. I am concerned about being misunderstood on an interstellar scale. She considered that. That ship has already sailed. The autolog helpfully added. Reputation vector forming. I pointed at the console. Stop. Cannot, it replied. Narrative coherence requires continuation. I lowered my voice. Listen. When they get here, they're going to assume things. They will assume you stayed, she said. Which is honorable. They'll assume more than that. Such as? I gestured vaguely at our current configuration. Her tail around my wrist. Her shoulder against my chest. My jacket still supporting her back. The machine humming like it approved of all of this. S.A. Lin followed my gaze. Yes. That. I don't need a reputation. In my people's experience, she said, humans rarely need one. They acquire them anyway. The rescue team's signal cut through again, stronger. Voices this time, distorted but audible. The autolog translated ahead of them. Allied responders approaching bonded pair. Prepare respectful entry. I am not bonded, I said out loud, to the universe. S.A. Lin tilted her head. Then why does your heart rate increase when they approach? I froze. That's stress. Stress caused by what? Attention. She smiled. We share that. Footsteps echoed beyond the broken corridor. Shapes moved in the half-light. I could feel the moment tightening, like everything we'd been carefully not naming was about to be named by someone else. I leaned closer to S.A. Lin and lowered my voice. When they ask, you tell them this was medical. She studied my face, serious now. It was. And situational. Yes. And temporary. She paused. Temporary is flexible. Before I could argue, the rescue team entered. 3 of them. 2 Vulpine, 1 insectoid medic. They stopped dead the moment they saw us. The silence was deafening. The autolog filled it instantly. Rescue bond in progress. Human support sustained. Subject stabilized through continuous contact. One of the Vulpine responders flicked an ear in clear surprise. A human? Yes, S.A. Lin said calmly. He found me. And did not walk away, the other added, impressed. I was prevented, I muttered. They ignored me completely. The insectoid medic stepped forward, scanner already out. Vitals? Stable, I said. Cracked rib, mild shock earlier, resolved. The medic paused. You administered warmth? Yes. Pressure? Appropriately. Duration? I hesitated. The machine did not. Sustained. The responders exchanged looks. Respectful ones. That was worse. This is generous behavior, one of them said. It's normal, I snapped. We do this all the time. That, the medic replied, is the problem. They moved in to take over care, and instinctively I shifted to give them room. Aylin's tail tightened immediately. Do not disengage yet, she said quietly. I have to, I whispered back. They're here. She shook her head, just slightly. If you pull away now, it implies regret. I don't regret helping you. Then remain until transfer is complete. The machine chimed, triumphant. Protocol aligned. So I stayed. Through the scans. Through the careful repositioning. Through the whispers I absolutely pretended not to hear. I stayed while they secured her onto a stretcher designed for her frame, while my jacket was gently removed and handed back to me like a relic. When they finally lifted her, her tail loosened at last. The absence of contact felt noticeable. I didn't comment on that. She reached out as they carried her past me and brushed her fingers against my wrist. Brief. Light. Intentional. Thank you, she said. For finishing what you started. I swallowed. I started first aid. She smiled. And you completed it. The responders watched me like I'd just demonstrated something dangerous. Admirable. Possibly contagious. As they left, the autolog delivered its final verdict. Event recorded. Human classification updated persistent. I stared at the quiet ruins, heart still racing, reputation already escaping into the galaxy without my permission. I hadn't walked away. And apparently, that meant everything. They tried to usher me out like a guest who'd overstayed his welcome, which was funny considering I was the one who wanted to leave first. The responders thanked me again, formally, sincerely, loudly, and then debated, right in front of me, whether humans were always like this or if I was a statistical outlier. I didn't correct them. I'd learned by now that denial just got translated into affirmation. Aylin was stabilized, secured, and very much conscious. She kept her eyes on me as they moved her, ears relaxed, expression calm in a way that suggested she'd already decided how this story would be told. When the medic finally declared transfer complete, I took a step back. A real one this time. No tail on my wrist. No machine narrating my posture. For half a second, no one spoke. Then the autolog, traitor to the end, chimed softly. Primary support withdrawn. Emotional impact minimal. Notable pause detected. I clenched my jaw. Turn it off. The medic tapped the console. It's archived itself. Of course it has. Aylin lifted herself slightly on the stretcher. You look disappointed. I look tired. In my experience, she said, those expressions overlap. The responders prepared to leave, but not before one of them addressed me directly. You are free to go. Free. The word landed heavier than it should have. I nodded. Good. That was the plan. And yet, Aylin said, voice light but precise, you are still standing here. I glanced at her, then at the exit, then back again. I'm making sure you're actually fine. You have checked me 6 times. 7 times the charm. She smiled. Not teasing. Not coy. Just warm. You humans struggle with endings. We're great at endings, I said. We just prefer them clean. She considered that. This one is. The responders finally moved out, giving us a moment they absolutely pretended was accidental. The ruins were quiet again, power humming low, no longer narrating every breath. I shifted my weight, suddenly aware of how still everything felt without commentary. Well, I said. That's that. She didn't answer immediately. She watched me like she had when we first met, alert, thoughtful, reading more than I was saying. You know, she said slowly, you could have walked away earlier. I know. But you didn't. No. You stayed when it became inconvenient. Yes. When it became embarrassing. Definitely. When others were watching. I sighed. Is there a point coming? She nodded. In my culture, that pattern matters more than intent. I didn't intend anything, I said. I know. That stopped me. She continued softer now. You intended responsibility. You intended completion. You intended not to leave a task unfinished. That's just how we are. Exactly. She shifted carefully, testing her balance. I stepped forward without thinking, ready to steady her, then caught myself and stopped short. She noticed. Her ears flicked in amusement. You may assist, she said. I thought the bond was over, I replied. She tilted her head. Must it be all or nothing? I offered my hand. She took it, light grip, no theatrics. The contact was brief, practical, and somehow more grounding than everything that came before. There, she said. See? No machine commentary. No ritual confusion. Just two people making sure no one falls. I nodded. That I can handle. She released my hand on her own this time. No reluctance. No drama. Just a clean ending, exactly like I'd wanted. So, I said, backing toward the exit. You'll be taken care of. Yes. And you won't, need anything else. She smiled. Not from you. Good. But, she added, I will remember this. I paused. Remember what? That you stayed. I shrugged. Anyone would have. She laughed, a real one this time. No. They wouldn't. I stepped out into the open air, ruins behind me, silence finally mine. I took 3 full steps before my comm buzzed. Incoming message. Public channel. I groaned before opening it. Notice, updated human behavioral classification uploaded. I didn't need to read the rest, but I did anyway. Persistent. Heat tolerant. Socially binding under pressure. Likely to remain after initial contact. Recommended caution, humans may not walk away. I stared at the screen. Unbelievable. Another message came through. Private this time. From S.A. Lin. Text only. No translation errors. No logs. You forgot your jacket. I looked down at my arm. Empty. I hesitated, then typed back. Keep it. For warmth. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Reappeared. See? She replied. You're still doing it. Doing what? Staying. I smiled despite myself and powered down the calm. I finally walked away from the ruins, reputation trailing behind me like a story I didn't ask to tell. Somewhere in the galaxy, a Vulpine would recover with a human jacket around her shoulders and a very specific idea about what it meant when a human didn't leave. And somewhere else, someone would hear the story and think it sounded romantic. They'd be wrong. It was just first aid. I just happened to finish what I started.